If I were to ask you what your favorite animated film was growing up, there's a good chance you'd probably say something made by Pixar or Disney. I'd probably say Ratatouille, and while you could ask me why, I really would have no idea what to say other than I liked it. Most kids don't watch movies while critiquing their art style or writing, and while that never stopped studios in the past from creating generation-defining classics, it's no secret that most studios now just don't seem to uphold that same standard. Now, given Pixar's history of animated films in the last 5 years, I wouldn't blame you for assuming that I'm implying a lack of quality or message. But Pixar still to this day still tells amazing stories. Looking at 2021's Luca, it's an amazing coming-of-age film following a young sea monster trying to find a place to belong on land. Luca's a great story about overcoming social alienation, using the analogy of being treated like a literal monster. Moving to 2022's Turning Red, Pixar made a fantastic coming-of-age film centered around a Chinese-Canadian girl trying to overcome her alienation through the analogy of turning into a giant panda. This year we got Elio, which, despite its low box office numbers, is a terrific coming-of-age film centered around... Okay, I think you get it. The problem doesn't seem to be that Pixar's forgotten how to make a good original film, but instead, they only remember how to make one. Although they used to put out such uniquely different but equally heartfelt masterpieces like Up and WALL-E, they've been reduced to repeating a good but ultimately single formula. So, irony aside, if Pixar doesn't know how to make a unique original movie anymore, is there anyone that still does? I fucking hate YouTube. An original film about a K-pop girl group that also kills demons objectively still sounds stupid, but it's no secret at this point that the movie is amazing. Rumi's story is actually pretty well served by the premise. It's not just a gimmick. As a K-pop star, she's someone who feels like she needs to inspire people with her identity, which plays in pretty well to the fact that she's half demon, creating a pretty interesting dynamic given that she herself doesn't know who she is. Although it's about K-pop and demons, at its core, it's a coming-of-age story about alienation that... Okay, now you get it. But if these two films released on the same day are so similar in writing quality and message, why did one become so successful when the other has already been completely forgotten? Well, there are at least 3 reasons we can point to, features that are present in Sony's approach that Pixar just doesn't seem to understand, being marketability, creativity, and memorability. For marketability, a lot of the online discourse about Elio has been summed up to being a lack of it, which is interesting considering Elio actually had quite a lot. Pixar paid for countless billboards, TV ads, and even a global McDonald's collab. It's not so much that Elio didn't have enough marketing, but the marketing they did have was useless. Films released in theaters demand viewers' time, money, and physical effort. You not only have to dedicate a handful of hours for transport to even watch the movie, but you also have to spend money on tickets to get in once you're there. Even though this type of advertising used to work, with the convenient rise of streaming and less convenient rise of inflation, it just doesn't anymore. We have other options. Going to the cinemas is just less appealing. It's not enough to tell people the film exists when you can't give a good reason for them to give up their time and money to go see it. Originals can succeed, but not if you do nothing to set them apart from their direct competitors. On the other hand, even though Kpop Demonhunters also lacked clear advertising, the concept sells itself. Such a weird but unique idea like K-pop stars hunting demons is hard not to notice, and even harder to ignore as a Netflix release. Rather than asking people to spend money on tickets and transport, all Kpop Demonhunters asks of viewers is roughly an hour and a half of their time that could be spent in the comforts of their own home and paused whenever they want. Now, am I saying every film release should be on streaming? No, but Sony has proven that original films still work if you give people every reason to go watch them. Rather than sending your original films to directly compete with all the remakes and sequels, why not put them right in front of your audience, ready to watch whenever? All this just really stands out when you put Elio's $200 million budget next to Kpop Demonhunters' 70. You really can't help but wonder how much of Elio's costs were given to the ad campaign and theatrical launch, costs that could have been put into experimenting with a new artistic direction, like what Sony did. And it's when you consider this within the context of the second characteristic that Pixar's approach seems even more confusing. Creativity is arguably the most important factor in a film's success, and it's where this video's title comes in. With so many films, shows, and games being released every year, we live in a world where every single piece of media is compared to its closest predecessor. For sequels, this means good faith. If the first version of a film was good, we'll likely be willing to come and see the second. On the other hand, for a new franchise, it's the knowledge that there's some kind of twist, something unique to offer that makes them worth watching. Where Sony's become experimental with its IPs, letting its directors take control, each of Disney and Pixar's releases just feels noticeably formulaic. Whether it's the recent MCU or original animated movies, you can really tell how much control that the company and not the creators have. Each film keeps a consistent look and feel despite having what should be such a wide range of directors. Although these films are original, they have so little to set them apart. Elio specifically seems to be the culmination of this, receiving all the disadvantages of being a sequel without any of the upsides. Although it's an objectively good movie, it inherently feels redundant. We've seen these visuals before, we felt this tone before, we've watched this movie before. I know I and a lot of other people feel sick of Pixar's bean-mouth art style, and at the end of the day, while that's only a personal opinion, it's the culmination of people's opinions that affect objective reality. We want original movies, but that doesn't just mean we want new franchises. It means we want new visuals, we want new sound, new direction. So even though the core message of Kpop Demonhunters isn't particularly unique, it also doesn't look, sound, or feel like any other movie. While it's accessible for anyone with Netflix to share, edit, or reference, that accessibility is only relevant because of how good it looks. If you were to take any single 10 seconds of the film out of context, the animation and artistic design are so visually and tonally appealing that even without any context, it can convince someone to give the film a try. And I think that's the biggest part of Kpop Demonhunters' success. The fact that it remembers the biggest strengths of being a movie isn't just telling a good story, but doing so through unique visuals and audio. While putting out billboards and ads that people skip after 5 seconds is occasionally effective, when a film's artists get the freedom to put everything into their work, it should naturally inspire people to do the same. Just looking at the film's opening scene, it's easy to see how it achieves that. Every movement syncs up with the beat, every shot moves with the characters, and every action has the exaggerated swagger of a K-pop idol. It's like it's all just asking to be rewatched and remade. Whether it's fan art, cosplay, or song covers, it's fan-created media for other fans that often goes further than the actual films themselves. This all leads into the final aspect of a film's success, its memorability. While a film doesn't need to completely alter society as we know it, if the only change in the world from a movie's launch is monetary success, I think it misses the point of even existing. While Elio's completely failed at the box office, I think the real crime is what Pixar did to the film itself. Whatever LGBTQ themes the original director Adrian Molina intended, thanks to Pixar's countless rewrites, they just aren't there. The story of Elio has something to say, but no real reason to say it. So even though I'm sure the story will still resonate for some people out there, both its message and its method are nothing new. On the other hand, Kpop Demonhunters is a clear love letter to Korean culture. The directors Maggie Kang and Chris Applehands have created a movie that perfectly merges Korean folklore and modern Korean media. This all grounds Rumi's story of self-acceptance with a genuinely memorable and unique purpose, celebrating the culture that inspired its creation. Even if you don't particularly like K-pop or K-dramas, watching this movie, even though it's simple and made for kids, you can just feel the passion put into every single scene. It's one thing for a film to be praised for its soundtrack or visuals, but it's another for its music to completely top the charts over the songs it took inspiration from, for its aesthetics to bring a smile to the people it was based on. Art isn't best when it imitates a predecessor, but when it holds a mirror up to it. When it creates a back and forth of inspiration and innovation that forces everyone to look and remember. Design is art, music is art, animation is art, and at the end of the day, that's what movies should aim to be. Not just a sanitized product to replace what came before, but something that makes people feel something. Something that gets us to go on and inspire the people who come next. Something made by us and not studios. Also, before you leave, Man Asleep sent me this mask as a sponsor. They didn't pay me or give me any specific direction, so I just chucked it here at the end. Also, it's been like 6 months since my last video, and I've gotten no complaints, so this is probably a good enough segment. Okay, now we're at 10 minutes. Thanks for watching.